the 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
Now entering the game for Philly Press Box Radio, Bill Furman and Jim Chet Chesko.
It's Tuesday, November 21st, 2023. Happy Thanksgiving and welcome to the Philly Press Box Radio Roundtable, brought to you by the Irish Rover Station House in Langhorne, PA, Allstate Insurance in Westchester, PA, Cavs, Philly Tailgates, and the Edge of Philly Sports Network. I'm Bill Furman. I'll be your host tonight along with my partner, Jim Chet Chesko. And Chet, the Eagles, they just keep on winning, 9-1. Halfway through this gauntlet schedule, and they've won them all so far. The Sixers are playing good ball with a 10-3 record. The Flyers are hot, winning 5 straight. And Aaron Nola is a Philly for the long haul. We got plenty to talk about. Philly sports covering all of it tonight.
A darn near perfect week on the Philly sports scene, Bill, with the Sixers picking up a couple of impressive wins. And yeah, the Flyers shocking the world with a 5-game win streak. Who would have thunk it? The Eagles, despite getting thoroughly outplayed for 2.5 quarters anyway, stealing a win over the Chiefs on Monday night. It's a great life here in the Philly area, Bill.
It is. And you know what? We're going to talk a lot about that Eagles game with our first guest for sure. But one thing I'll throw out before we get to that, Chet, you never have to apologize for winning. Winning is hard. And
yeah, whether you call it an ugly win or what, a win is a win is a win. They're 9-1. That's all that matters.
That's right. There's no column in that WL column that says U for ugly.
Exactly.
All right. We got a couple great guests joining us tonight in NFL Films legend and now author Bob Angelo from NFL Off Camera is his book we'll talk about. And sports artist Jordan Spector, who is just fabulous as well. So both of these guys, they have a lot going on this holiday season.
Well, if you're on Facebook or Instagram, or if you've been in Bill Furman's man cave, you've seen some of Jordan Spector's great artwork. And folks, if you like great real life stories about pro football, please pick up this great book at one of Bob Angelo's upcoming book signings. You will be quite pleased, I promise you.
And we will get to that. So let's welcome Bob Angelo back to Philly Press Box Radio. Bob, welcome back.
Thank you, guys. Glad to be here.
Hey, Bob, we're going to talk about that Eagles game in just a bit, but you and I taped an interview for this show just over 2 months ago, and now we get to have you on here live with us, which is very cool. Bill gets to, throw in a bunch of questions as well. We will talk more about your terrific book, but yeah, we're also going to talk about not only the Birds, but just pro football in general. So let me ask you, first of all, what has the reaction been to this great book of yours since it came out in the summer?
Most of the reviews have been very positive, and most of the folks who have purchased the book, bought the book, read the book, like what they're reading. It's designed for short attention span theater type folks.
That's
3
me.
pages max, 3 pages max on every story. And, something personal about each and every individual. It's not one of those things that you can read on Wikipedia or, Google search. I had a personal interaction with each of the 92 in each of the 92 stories in each of the 110 story subjects. And so far, so good. I'm enjoying the book tour thing with Ray Didinger. I mean, Ray and I have gone to several book signings now, and we work well together. And, he's still selling, his repertoire of works. And yeah. I have my single book, The NFL Off Camera, which is over one of my shoulders here.
Hey, Bob, for those that weren't with us the last time, give the viewers and listeners a little quick synopsis of how you got here, your whole NFL Films experience and all that.
Well, Penn State undergrad, Northwestern grad school. As a senior at Penn State, I picked a name off the credits of an NFL Films production, and that name was Steve Sable. And I started writing to him as a senior at Penn State. Continued while I was at Northwestern. By the time I was ready to leave Northwestern, he had a big, deep stack of correspondence for me, plus scripts of radio shows, talk radio shows that I'd done about pro football at both Penn State and Northwestern, articles that I'd written for pro football magazines. And he got, he got it. This kid wants to work for us. And he would tell me, well, if the greatest filmmaker on the planet wandered in here, we don't have an opening. And then one day, a guy from NFL Films named Jim Green, who I never met, decided to move to the Caribbean and open a tiki hut. I'm not kidding. And I got hired. And the date was June 6th, 1975 at 1:35 p.m. It's in my book. One of those moments where I looked at my watch and said, please remember this moment, because this just changed your life, Robert Angelo. And 44 years later, I retired from NFL.
Yeah, great stuff. Bob, when you and I talked in September about the book, I focused mostly on players, coaches, and media folks with a connection to Philly that you wrote about. Dick Vermeil, Chris Carter, Harry Kalas, and of course, the voice of God, John Facenda. But I did not get to talk to you about this guy, who you also did a chapter about, Terrell Owens. You spent lots of time with T.O. 1 week in particular, and you had some interesting observations then and beyond. So tell us about T.O.
Terrell Owens, to me, was a total professional when it came to his job as a wide receiver. Some of the antics, some of the things that he did rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, Steve Mariucci being one of them. They had an incredible falling out. As a result, he wound up in Philadelphia. And without Terrell in Philadelphia, I'm sorry, guys, I don't think the Eagles make it to that Super Bowl. He had them on the right path. He got hurt. Herculean effort to recover from that injury and get back and play in that Super Bowl. And amazing. I remember I was downfield when he caught a pass underneath and he turned up, and I could see the fear in the Patriots defensive back's eyes. He was a big, impressive human being when he was toting the ball, much the way A.J. Brown is now. I mean, he's that same sort of imposing, physical human being. That said, when I worked that 1 week with him in California, there were two requirements. He said, don't you stand me up. If you tell me to be someplace, I will be there, and call me by my right name. It's Terrell. And I got all that right. I was sharing him with Susie Colbert that week because Susie was doing a week-long thing for ESPN. So we worked everything out. But, I mean, if I said, I'm going to be there at 12:30, ready to go, he was there at 12:25. He was on Lombardi time. And I was impressed with everything about him, more specifically, his workout ethic. He flew his personal trainer in from Atlanta, and he did his workout by himself at night in the 49ers facility. And I have never seen anybody work so hard. I mean, that accounts for the sculpted body that he had, and that accounts for his ability to rehab as quickly as he did and make it back in that Super Bowl with the Eagles and the Patriots. But the man was an incredible physical specimen. To me, one of the top 5 receivers of all time, and deservedly took his place in the Hall of Fame. A lot of people are going to find fault with him because of his, as I said, antics, his behavior, his inability sometimes to get along with teammates. But I'm sorry, the dude was a great pass catcher and deserves to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm. Well, Bob, you mentioned that you went to Penn State. Were you a Pennsylvania guy, an Eagles fan, a Steelers fan, or obviously you've lived over in the Jersey, Pennsylvania area for many years, so I assume you have adopted the Eagles, if nothing else.
I'm an Eagles fan now, but I grew up in Pittsburgh, and when I grew up in Pittsburgh in the 60s, the Steelers stunk, period. Chuck Noll came in 1969. I was still a senior in high school when he came in, and, drafted a guy named Joe Green, and the next year drafted a guy named Terry Bradshaw, and then it goes on from there. 74, he got 5 Hall of Famers in one draft, and they won 4 Super Bowls in 6 years. So I came out here to live in the Philadelphia area as a Steelers fan. Spent a quarter of a century basically hanging out with the Minnesota Vikings, and a Vikings fan as well. And I've been through so many coaches here that I've gotten to know and like in Philadelphia that I feel part of this whole thing that's going on now. I'm a diehard Eagles fan. I have friends over on Sunday. We watch games. I root for the Eagles as if I grew up in the in Roxborough or South Philly. I'm big time with the Eagles these days. I love the way they do business. I just think they age me. I mean, watching the Cowboys game probably took 2 years off my life. But, and again, last night, watching that game, and, Jimmy got it right. They survived it. They won it. They got outplayed for 2.5 periods, but they hung in there. And the Chiefs could not put them away. And so, yeah, I'm an Eagles fan. I'll say it right out loud.
Well, Bob, you wrote a lot about coaches in the book. Vermeil, who I mentioned, plus Bill Cowher, Chuck Noll, who you just mentioned, Brian Billick, Sam Wyche, the Harbaughs, Bill Belichick. You didn't get a chapter on him somehow. I don't know how that happened, but who were your favorite coaches to be around?
Denny Green from the Minnesota Vikings. Denny was a coach in a small market, and he understood the value of publicity. Brian Billick, who was his offensive coordinator, who went on to the Ravens, when I did Hard Knocks, the very first season of Hard Knocks with Brian said, Bob, you can do whatever you want to do here. Whatever you choose to do, you can do wherever you want to go. It was carte blanche. And thus the success of the show and the series is still with us. And a lot of that has to do with Brian Billick and access and trust. Always enjoyed Marvin Lewis. I've never had an issue with Mike Tomlin. A lot of people have. I haven't. Mike and I always got along when I would work on Steelers sidelines, and I did several Steelers Super Bowls where Mike was involved. And then going back, hard not to like Jerry Glanville. He was such an interesting person. He was a riot looking for a place to happen. Jerry was interesting. He was different. Sam Wyche, real good guy, easy to work with. I mean, those are the names that pop into my mind. I mean, my least favorite of all time, I'll say it out loud, is Sean Payton. He's a bad guy. He's a bad guy. Don't like him. Never will like him. And when the Dolphins beat them 70-0 this year, I was rooting for 77. I wanted to see one more touch. One more touch would have suited me just fine.
Well, Bob, with all the years of experience and everything you did, what was the reason for the book? Why did that pop into your head? And I know just in talking to Chet, I haven't had a chance to look at it yet, but it's going to be a top-notch book.
Well, a lot of people said to me, why don't you write a book about your experiences? To which I would reply, the memoirs of an NFL Films producer just sounds pompous to me. I wouldn't read it. But then when I was teaching at Penn State. I was teaching a course, Com 400, and it was the spring of 2020. And all of a sudden, early March, we got shut down right at spring break. I'd started this thing several times. I'd almost hit the delete button on my computer several times, and thought, well, I've got nothing else to do right now. I went back to it and I committed to it. And then one day I handed my wife one of the stories. Now, my wife didn't like a lot of things that I wrote. I wrote screenplays. She didn't like any of them. Sometimes she would critique things that I did for NFL Films, and she didn't really like a lot of what I would write. She read the Lyle Alzado story in my book, and she said, "You're onto something here. This is pretty good." And I handed her a few more, and I got the same reaction. I said, "Are you blowing smoke up, where?" And she said, "No, I really like these stories. I think the fact that these things are less than 3 pages, pithy, substantive, I think you've got something here if you follow up with this." So, and I did not have an agent. I did not have a deal. I did not have anything in place. Fortunately, I got some help from Ray Didinger in Sal Palantonio, and Temple University Press said, "Yeah, if you're willing to work with us and do some revisions, we'll do this." And became a book, 101,000 pages, or 101,000 words down to 92,000 words. But and now it's out there. It's fun, and I'm flattered by all this. I really am. It's never thought this would happen.
Bob, we'll switch to the Eagles, but I got to ask about one other thing. NFL Films, even with you gone, is still doing great work, believe it or not. And Prime Video just debuted a great film about Barry Sanders. It's called Bye Bye Barry. I watched 2/3 of it this afternoon. Didn't get to finish it before we had to go on the air. It is really, really good. How much fun was Barry Sanders to watch play?
He was incredible. Now, if you're the Detroit Lions offensive coordinator or their quarterback, you're thinking, man, you put me in 2nd and 16 again. Barry was always looking to hit that home run. And when he did, it made for a moment that would live on forever. NFL Films captured so many plays, so many moves, so many things that other running backs just didn't have in their arsenal that he did. That said, fun to be around him. He was very quiet, very humble. Oh, yeah. I don't think I ever got him to say anything when I was around him with my camera, ever, once. He also, as I pointed out, he lost a lot of yards. He lost over 1,100 yards in his career. And had he not lost those yards, he, I think, might have passed Walter Payton. Now, I've heard stories, and I don't know any of them to be true unless Barry admits to them in this documentary that NFL Films just released. Is it Films who produced the show, or
it's from NFL Films? Yeah,
it's a Films production. They really do great work there. I mean, all those people are good there. I've heard that the reason he walked away from football was he didn't want to break Walter's record. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if he's ever said that out loud, but if it is true, wow. You talk about ultimate humility. And that's Babe Ruth's record in football. The rushing record is like the home run record in Major League Baseball, that or the goals record or the all-time scoring record in the NBA. I can't believe that a guy who gotten that close and played that well for so many years on not good teams at all, would walk away with a chance to break that record. And I'd like for someone to tell me whether or not that story is true. I've heard it from a lot of people, but so far as I'm concerned, it's just
well, they teased it in the beginning that was like going to be a focal point. So I'm assuming they're going to give you some kind of answer in the final third of it when I watch that. So definitely check it out.
Yeah, I've certainly heard that story as well. Bob, I have one more NFL Films question for you. When you wrote a lot of what do you want to say? Famous pieces, if you're an NFL Films follower from the old days. When you wrote those things, did you think to yourself, I'm writing this for John Facenda?
Absolutely.
I'm writing this for Harry Callis. And did you look at the end product and say, holy crap, this is fantastic?
Quite a few times, especially with John, because John had that distinctive baritone voice with a stage British accent. And he was, an Italian gentleman from South Philadelphia. I don't know where it came from, but he could read a shopping list and make it interesting. I mean, when I was on Good Morning Football, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, peppermint patties. I mean, John could make that interesting. He could make that sound compelling, something that you needed to listen to. I wrote a line once for the 1979 Pittsburgh Steelers highlight. That was the year they won their 4th Super Bowl in 6 years. And the line was, there are 27 teams in pro football, and then there are the Pittsburgh Steelers. The piece of music that I used and the sequence of shots that I put together was one of these eerie moments where the Steelers emerge from their locker room and they're walking through the bowels of Three River Stadium on their way out to be introduced to the Steelers Nation. And John delivered that line in a way that it didn't matter what the rest of the film did. People were going to love the film just because of that opening line, or the second line in the film, actually.
Yep. Yeah, we played that during your first go round with us a couple of months ago, and it was great. Let's get to some Eagles talk. They are somehow 9-1. A lot of the games have not been pretty. Maybe the Miami game was the only really, really solid offensive and defensive performance by the Eagles all year. But as I said, they're 9-1, which is the bottom line. What is your take on this team? Can they go all the way playing this way?
Yes, they can. Here's why. Right now, they're sitting pretty. Detroit somehow is closest to them.
Yeah, and an easy schedule for Detroit, theoretically.
Because I think the other two teams, Dallas, San Francisco, are better football teams and pose more of a threat to the Eagles in the postseason. Right now, though, with the way the schedule is playing out, I told my buddy who comes over every time the Eagles are playing, he came over last night and I said, no, Rob, please understand that they've got to win 2 of these next 4. And the most important game in this whole 4-game span is San Francisco. That is the one that if we win, we've got home field. Okay. 2 of 4, we've got home field. The Cowboys are still around, but if the Eagles happen to beat them again, then that takes care of that. Detroit, they complicate things. We could wind up playing somebody that we really don't want to play, with Detroit playing either San Francisco or Dallas. For that reason, however, because the Eagles now have a 2-game advantage on the NFC. Now, how do they have this 2-game advantage? Well, it's hard to run on them. Although, don't tell Isaiah Pacheco that they still haven't tackled him. They're not playing the in the dominant fashion that they did last season. They really are not playing in that dominant fashion, but they're playing, as you said, well enough to have won 9 of 10 games. Winning 9 of 10 games in any sport is difficult to do. In professional football, it's damn near impossible. And the Eagles have done it two years in a row now, I think. I'm not sure of that one, but I'm watching the way our Swift performs. And, when they call upon him and they give him the football in big games and big moments, he doesn't disappoint. I was a little disappointed last night when AJ decided to turn what looked like a dig route into a go route just with a signal. And, all of a sudden Jalen looks like a smacked A because, he throws the ball right to a defender. And, they discussed it. They talked about it on the sideline. If Sweat had jumped off sides one more time, I was going to throw something at the of it. Come on. And, but the Chiefs are human as well. And Kelsey's fumble was huge. Yeah. They didn't make anything out of it. I think they went backwards, the Eagles, but that was huge because the score didn't change. And I said to my friend, they're sticking around. They're still in this thing. All they need is one big play to get them back in the game. Well, the big throw down the field to Devontae there it was. And
Chet texted me right before that Kelsey fumble and said, if we just hold them to a field goal, we're still in a 1-score game, and it probably wasn't 2 plays later. Yeah, that ball was on the ground. And you're right. A huge play to keep them off the board there.
And we appreciate the drop by the wide receiver, too.
Oh, God. Can you imagine? Good Morning Football buried that dude this morning. And, I remember hearing when he was in Green Bay that, Aaron just didn't like him. He couldn't depend on him. And, the Chiefs have, I think they lead the league in drop passes or are close to it. Maybe Detroit is up there pretty high as well. But, wow. Kansas City can't close out the deal. They couldn't close it out earlier in the season at home against Detroit. Detroit beat them really night. Yeah, and beat them decisively. And the Eagles just stayed in it. They stayed in it. And, that's what teams who win 9 out of their first 10 games do. They stay in it until the opportunities present themselves. But they're struggling. It's not dominant right now. I think they missed the right guard. They certainly missed the 2 inside linebackers. The 2 young men they've got, or not young men, 2 veterans they've got playing for them now. They'll make a play here and there. Defensively, let's face it, Slay and Bradbury, they're in their 30s, and they're not as effective in press man coverage as they used to be. Byard is going to make a difference. It's still going to be hard because whoever comes to Philadelphia is going to come to Philadelphia, and I think it's going to go through Philly, but they're going to come to Philly knowing that this team has weaknesses. Now, every team has weaknesses. San Francisco lost 3 games in a row. San Francisco just lost a safety who was a force. He's gone. He was an important part of that defense. Yeah. He reminded me of Troy Polamalu, as much as anybody I've seen recently. Dallas is, lost a linebacker. Van Der Esch might be done for the year. I think it is. However, I mean, you look at that cornerback. When they lost Diggs, I thought, well, hell, and that's it for their secondary. Well, that cornerback has, I think, am I right about this? 4 pick sixes this year.
Yeah.
My gosh, where did he come from? Who is that guy? I mean, I wish you could lift up a rock and find that guy, Philadelphia. They need that person. But despite weaknesses, despite obvious flaws in the program, they won 9 games.
Hey, Bob, we're going to run out of time, so let's get to your signings. I want to be sure people know holidays coming up. You got a lot going on. Run through these real quick for us and tell us what's happening.
Well, on Friday, Black Friday, I've got to show up in Devon at it says 2 p.m. there. I think it's 3, but who knows? Barnes and Noble, that's the next day with Ray. Carl's Cards and Collectibles with Ray. We did one with Carl's Cards and Collectibles at a sports bar, and that was in I can't think of the town now, but that was a lot of fun. And then another one with Ray in Center City, Philly on December 16th. And again, going out with Ray Didinger it's like being there with God. I mean, in Philadelphia, Ray Didinger he's a media legend. I mean, a legend. People came to my country club. They didn't come to see me. They've seen me throw clubs. They've seen me, curse. They've heard me curse on the 18th green. They came there to see Ray Didinger, and it was just marvelous watching the crowd warm up to him. And Ray is such a pro, and he's so his knowledge is so deep and profound that when he starts talking, I just sit and listen. I mean, I just sit and listen to him, and then I realize, oh, it's my turn. And I try to come up with something to complement what he just said, but there's no need to do that. Ray finishes everything that he begins, and he did have one point that he made. One of the folks in the audience asked about the tush push, and he said, "Enjoy it now because it's gone after this season." And there was a deep groan, and he explained how and why it would happen, and it probably will go down just that way. I mean, there was a rule that was changed about 5 years ago about pushing players who have the football in their hands. That's what a tush push is. And if the NFL, the owners will be smart. Excuse me. They won't zero in on the tush push. They'll just say, we're going to make it illegal to push players who have the football. And, that'll be their 31 other teams' way of telling the Eagles, screw you. You're not going to do that to us anymore. But how about last night when they ran the tush push? I mean, they didn't just get a yard. They got about 4 yards on one of those. My goodness.
Hey, Bob, we are out of time, but I will see you on Saturday afternoon. I'll get you to sign my copy of your great book. And one of these days, we're going to go out and have a few beers together.
I can do that. And we'll talk about the quarterback at Penn State and possibly entering the transfer portal if they don't start fixing that pass offense up there because they need something drastic.
Hey, Bob, one other thing. Is there a place, an email, a website, somewhere people could buy this book if they can't make your signings?
If you type, if somebody types in the book title, it'll come up, and it's available on Amazon. And Amazon is delivering these things within a day. Barnes and Noble bookstores have them. And my website is real simple. It's www.bobangelo.com.
There you go.
I've been there.
It'll pop right.
So there you go, Joe Howe. You said you didn't see Rhode Island on his list. There you go.
No, he's not doing any signings in Rhode Island, Joe.
Now you have the info, Joe. No more excuses. Bob, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. Let's do it again. Good luck with the book, and have a great holiday.
Thank you, too. Thank you for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Bob. See you Saturday.
Take care.
All right, Chet. Winter. It's coming fast, especially up there in the north. Gas prices, not too bad. Time to save some more money with Allstate's Pay As You Go.
Yeah, you got that right, Bill. Allstate's Pay As You Go auto insurance. You know the deal. You only pay for the miles you drive, puts you in control with the same full coverage that a traditional policy offers. Pay-per-mile insurance gives customers greater control of their insurance costs. See how much you can save with pay-per-mile car insurance by calling your local agent in Westchester, Pennsylvania. That is Dave Lavoie. Again, this is at Allstate in Westchester. Call Dave Lavoie at 610-430-0700. Once again, 610-430-0700.
And tell them Philly Press Box Radio sent you. Don't
Please
forget
do.
that part. Yeah. Hey, Chet, while you're out and about and saving money, what's going on at the Irish Rover Station House during the holidays?
Well, Bill, it would take 10 minutes, I think, of my time to tell you everything happening at the Irish Rover this busy time of the year. So here are a couple of the highlights. The Rover's annual Black Friday gift card sale happens this Friday from noon to 2. You buy a $50 gift card, and they'll throw another $10 one for you. Next Wednesday, the 29th, then, well, that is their holiday shop and sip event. At that one, they bring in a whole bunch of great local vendors selling their goods in the banquet room. Support those local businesses, please. And yes, it is happening, Bill, December 14th. It's a Thursday night. It is the annual Ugly Sweater Party. You know I'm going to be there. I love the ugly sweaters. It all happens at the Irish Rover on Bellevue Avenue in Langhorne. Details on their website. That would be irishroverstationhouse.com. And I'm going to play this guy again because we just played him a couple of weeks ago, but I want to tell
Hey, everybody, it's Willie Nile here, and you're listening to Chet and Bill on Philly Press Box Radio. You lucky people.
As you know, Bill, I saw Willie Nile over the weekend, and he was terrific, as he always is. So I think that's number 26 for me. If you get a chance, go see Willie Nile, Bill, please.
There you go. Well, hey, we ran a little over with Bob, so we're going to skip over our Sixers and Flyers because we have another guest getting ready to come on. But let's go ahead and give our shout-out to all the shows at the Edge of Philly Sports Network this week. Loaded up. The gang has all the bases covered, including a holiday we're going to stick in there. So we're shifting a few things around, but still some Thursday activity. Anyway, you can catch all the action on www.eopsports.com as well as the Edge of Philly Sports on YouTube. You can also find our show on the Philly Press Box Radio YouTube channel. Check it out. Help us out. Hit those subscribe, follow, like buttons. And as always, share with your family and friends.
And you'll notice that they are replaying our show tomorrow night in our usual time slot, 7 p.m. on the network. So you can watch it all over again tomorrow night and pretend it's live.
And you know what, Chet? It'll be great to watch it over because Bob Angelo was great, and we've got another great guest getting ready to join us in Jordan Spector of Jordan Spector Art. Chet, you mentioned it in the opening. I'll tell you, I've got some of his work hanging in my man cave. Jordan is he is fantastic with his Philly sports and other things. Got a little exclusive thing going on with Brian Dawkins too, a new creation that I'm sure we'll talk about. So let's welcome Jordan Spector to Philly Press Box Radio. Jordan, welcome.
Hey, how you doing, guys? Appreciate the intro.
Hey, Jordan. Great to see you once again. I saw you at the Hall of Fame inductions, the Philly Sports Hall of Fame, which was fun. You had a great display of your goods there. And I told you that night, reminded you that last year at about this time, I got your great Sixers piece, and there it is hanging in my man cave with all my other Sixers photos and whatnot. So great job on that one. I think I may have to add to that this year.
Hey, Jordan, I do have to tell you, you're not a favorite of my wife. One more tube comes to this house with Jordan Spector's name on it. I'm going to have to find out who Jordan Spector is.
Well, I guess it's a good thing in a way. But
it is.
Yeah, my wife thinks I spend too much money on that kind of stuff too. But what do they know, right? All right, Jordan. So you got a bunch of things going on. Bill mentioned Brian Dawkins. Let's get to that right away. You become buddies with Brian Dawkins, and you got these trading cards coming out. There you are, you and B-Doc. So tell us how this whole relationship developed and then what you got going on with B-Doc.
Yeah, so it's really cool. It's really surreal when I get to think about how this came to be and talk about our relationship and this relation. But growing up, you know, who wasn't a fan of Brian Dawkins if you're an Eagles fan or even just a football player? And I literally grew up on him, and really my cousin were the two people who inspired me to play the game. So I was an artist as a kid, and that was always a hobby. No one really knew I was an artist. So it's cool how everything has kind of to this point all these years later, where now this is really a dream project of mine to be able to do this with Brian. And it's really cool. So I built a relationship with him over the past 5 years. I gifted him another project I did years ago. That was kind of my intro. And since then, I've supported his foundation through my art in the best way that I can. And I've just helped with different design stuff for the foundation, and, you know, whatever I can do to support. It always brings a lot of joy to me, especially whenever he talks about the Brian Dawkins Impact Foundation. I know they're doing a lot of great stuff. So it means something to me to support that. So the same thing goes for this project as well. A portion of the proceeds do go to the Impact Foundation. And I have a card in my hand right now, which I can show off on screen. But the card's actually released on November 9th. And we are getting close to being sold out of those, which is pretty amazing. And that's probably going to happen pretty soon. So we still do have some left. This is kind of on a pre-sale format. Everything ships out the first week of December. So it's been a fun experience. It's been surreal to get to this point, and not only do my first card project, but to do it with Brian Dawkins is pretty special.
Well, go ahead and give yourself a plug and tell us where can the people buy them. Let's go. Let's sell the rest of them out.
Yeah. So on my website, spectorsportsart.com, if you just go to the homepage, you'll see a link right at the top on our banner for the blog, which has a lot of great details about the project if you want to check that out. Actually, you got to refresh that page there. But if you click on that and go to our blog, you'll also find the link to the product where you can buy the card. They're $75. They come in a custom box, a case, certificate of authenticity. It's a whole experience. And yeah, you can see it there in the picture. What's really cool too, not to get too into it, but if you read the blog, you'll find that there are rare parallel foil cards within the whole collection that you have the chance to get by buying one. Now, even the base card, which I'll show here, I think is still pretty special. This is a silver foil card. Probably not the best camera for it, but you get the idea. It comes in a one-touch case like this. The back has a lot of really cool exclusive details on it. Some quotes from Brian that come directly from the Bible, and also one of his favorite stats from when he played that not a lot of people know about. So you got all that. And like I said, it comes in a box. I don't have a box next to me, but you saw it on the screen, I think. But this is what you're looking at here. So it's,
are any of those cards signed by Brian or by you?
Yes. Yeah, so that's in addition to the rare parallel foils, there are an even more finite number of cards that are autographed by Brian. There are a handful that are dual autographed by both of us. And there's one of each variation that is dual autographed and has an inscription on it from Brian. And then the whole project is a one-of-one card, which is dual autographed, has a Weapon X inscription on it. I call it our Obsidian Rainbow Foil variation. And again, you can find all this information in that blog on the product page. So it's all there to check out. Again, spectorsportsart.com is where you can find it. And it's exciting to be at this point.
I think most people got the attention or got your attention with or we found out about you through this Eagles piece that you did. Are you still selling that? Is that still a popular item? I'm sure it is.
Yeah, it is. That's always kind of been an evergreen piece, I call it. I'm always trying to make stuff that is iconic, that has already happened in time, and that's even why the brand of this new trading card, that because I'm going to be doing more cards, it's called Immortals. It's all about capturing legacies of players or teams that have already left their mark in the sports world. It can be tricky when you do current players who end up leaving Philadelphia, especially like Carson Wentz and Ben Simmons, and just to name a few. But I always try to do stuff that I feel like fans will appreciate. So I'm always keeping fans' opinions in mind and trying to just do stuff that I'm passionate about, but also that I think a fan would be passionate about. So,
Yeah, I also have that Eagles piece too. The big, not that big one, but the bigger of the original orders, I guess you could get.
yep.
Absolutely fantastic. And I have to ask you, many of the players were Pro Bowl type players, but some of them Hall of Famers. But how did you come up with your list of guys? Let's make sure we include this guy or this guy, because there's some back there, the Bill Bergeys and those guys were way back when I was a kid that I'm certainly glad to see in there.
Yeah, for sure. And that's always been one of the hot topics and conversations that is ongoing, and it'll continue to be that way forever. But that was one of the hardest parts and why the project took so long, because, number one, I had to make sure I include all the players that my client wanted to actually commission the project. But he was pretty humble with that, and he did not expect me to do what I did, which was put 41 players and coaches in there. Part of the inspiration idea came from the Phillies dream scene from Jamie Cooper, who I now
have
saw
that
for
too.
him here. And it's cool because he's a mentor of mine. And now these years later that I have a larger business, I actually sell his work for him. And it's a perfect addition to what I already do. So when it came to that process, we did a ton of fan surveys. I talked to various Eagles historians whose opinion I trust, such as Merrill Reese and Ray Didinger, and just trying to get an overall vote, essentially, or nod on who is the top, and there's guys in there that I would have loved to include that are not in there. But I always say it's not about who's not in there. It's about who's in there. Do they deserve to be in there? And that's really what matters the most. So I don't think there's any one guy or coach in there who you could say should not be in there. So that's how I feel about it.
Agree.
And it's a shame Penn State's not 10-0 instead of 8-2, but you got a Penn State piece for sale now on your website also, I see.
Yeah. Oh man, that is a old throwback. And it's cool because you can go through my website and see some of my much older work, which maybe isn't as detailed or as conceptual as some of my newer work. But that was when I first started creating art again. I actually hand drew that and passed out in pencil. So I still sell prints of it. It's, definitely a Penn State favorite. So
you promised us that there would be a little bit of a discount or a sale over the Black Friday, Thanksgiving weekend. Is that true?
Yeah. So even if you go to my website right now and you sign up, we're going to be pushing out different promotions over the next 5 days. Some of our biggest sales of the year on Black Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Cyber Monday. So there's kind of a different deal every day.
Cool.
So if you want to go check that out now, you can definitely sign up on the website. So a lot to come, and we're doing 2 new drops over the next 2 weeks. One is a t-shirt, highly anticipated t-shirt, and another is a new piece of artwork that we'll have available. So
great.
So you're a Philly guy, and obviously you've put out these massive, fantastic Philly pieces. Do you do other sport or other teams, or are you pretty much focused on the Philadelphia area?
Yeah, so if you go to my website, you will see I've done quite a few projects that are other sports teams, players. The majority is definitely Philly sports. I just every year end up coming back to that, and this now is the hottest our sports market has probably ever been. So how can I not? It's what I love, and I just get bombarded with so many requests for stuff. But I've done quite a few other non-Philly sports pieces that you can find on my website.
All right.
So tell us again how people can find your stuff, where they can buy, or for Christmas, and is everything ready to be able to be shipped by Christmas?
Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah, I have perfected our production and shipping process over the years here. So we are definitely ready for that. And it's ongoing. So again, you can go to spectorsportsart.com. You can find the Brian Dawkins cards, which are getting close to being sold out. Many other pieces I've done, including the Legacy, the Eagles Legacy ones that you guys are showing off, and many, many more. I have over 50 pieces of art actually on my website that you can buy a print of, a canvas of. Prices range anywhere from $50 to a couple hundred. So I just try to make a product that anybody could really afford and hang on their wall. So SpectorSportsArt.com is where you can go to check it out.
All right. Do you do any public appearances where you set up and where people can see you? Chet said you did that at the Hall of Fame banquet. Is that something you frequently do?
Yeah. So we do quite a few events throughout the year, including that one. Sometimes it's a lot of just 1 day, 2 day events, but this time of year we actually have 2 full-on pop-up shops. One is at Tinseltown Holiday Spectacular. They moved to FDR Park, which is next to all the stadiums. It's a big outdoor light show. I'm a featured vendor there. It's run by Wells Fargo. And then we have another one up in Ben Salem, PA, at something called the Chris Kindle Market, which is, again, both are kind of, if you can imagine, like a 12 by 12 foot pop-up shop that we do every year. So it's there for 30 days. You can go online and check out either of those because we have our shop set up there. So you could, some people like to see the art in person and then buy it. So those are the spots to do it.
Well, hey, we appreciate you joining us. I'm going to check out the sales coming up this weekend starting on Friday. I'm going to start checking tonight, actually. Got to get ahead of the game.
And the thing that I like about the trading cards, too, is it doesn't take up a lot of space. That's something I realized. The wives and girlfriends, they can't be too mad at you. You know what I mean? Or for the women, the man can't be too mad at you either.
There you go. That woman. Who's not a Brian Dawkins fan? It doesn't matter if you're man or woman. Everybody likes B-Dog.
Come on now.
All right. Well, Jordan, we appreciate you joining us. Have a happy holiday and good luck with your products, and hopefully. The listeners will be buying and be telling you Philly Press Box Radio sent them.
Appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me on again. And go Birds. Have a great holiday.
Thanks, Jordan.
All right, Chet. Good stuff, man. I love those collages. I'll call them collages. They're
I got to make some room now for that Eagles piece because I'm hoping somebody buys it for me for Christmas.
Yeah. Well, and I will say this: there's a bigger one and a littler one.
Yeah, I know.
Don't get the littler one. I'm not talking about that big massive thing on the wall.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah,
decent size. Where the other one is kind of smaller. Get the bigger one. It's worth a couple extra bucks. Do it. Yeah. All right. Hey, tell us what's going on with Bob Cavanaugh and the gang over at Cavs Philly Tailgates.
Oh man, he's a busy guy too. Look at Bob. Look how happy this guy is. He's cooking up a storm. That's what he does. Cavs Philly Tailgates has been cooking up terrific catering work for more than 30 years now. Bob from his tailgate parties. He's a 3-time winner of the Philly Tailgates Jack Daniels Great American Tailgate Party Contest and a past winner of the Philly Daily News Tailgate Award. Cavs also does corporate events and parties, you name it. And there are 4 more home games on the Eagles schedule. Now, he's not going to do a tailgate on the Christmas Day game, but he does have tailgates before the other ones. November 26th is this Sunday. That's when the Bills come to town. And then, of course, the 3rd of December against the 49ers. And New Year's Eve day when the Eagles play the Cardinals, Bob will be there cooking and taking care of everybody. Just this guy just does an amazing job. Make sure you check him out. Order your tickets via the website, phillytailgates.com. Check the site, and if you have any questions, you can email them at cavscatering@verizon.net. Cavs Philly Tailgates is the way to go. And as you know, Cav also works with Vince at Philly Sports Trips. They are the folks who you go through for all the Eagles road games and more, so check them out as well. phillysportstrips.com. And I'm going to throw in one more plug, Bill. So what I'm going to do is put up this other little graphic because this is something going on this Sunday. And I promised my wife I would tout this. What you got right here, Bill, is the Christmas on the Creek event at the Watson House in Hamilton, New Jersey. It's in conjunction with the New Jersey Daughters of the American Revolution. And what you can do here is travel back in time to Christmases past, enjoy festive holiday decorations, as well as a colonial quilt exhibit and more. It's a great little house from way back when, and it's legit. And my wife will be there. Heck, I might even pop by there because, guys, you can get in and out of there before the Eagles and Bills kick off at 4:25 in the afternoon this Sunday. Christmas on the Creek at the Isaac Watson House, 151 Westcott Avenue in Hamilton, New Jersey. All right, Bill. Now, what time is it? Tell me.
Prediction time.
It is indeed prediction time. You are correct. So we got to talk about this weekend's games, right?
Yeah, we do. And gee whiz, before we get started with our picks, I hate to even ask you this, but how are you and Boop, Bob Angelo Jr., to his friends, doing this week 11 in our margin of victory pool and in our picks?
Well,
I know it's show off time for Chet.
Yeah, I will show off here. Let me get the margin of victory pool ready to go. I got Boop's picks somewhere. I don't even know where they are. I haven't looked at it as yet. But, I'm not one to pat myself on the back. Well, who the hell am I kidding?
Let me interrupt you because I don't really want to hear you. I don't really want to hear you do that. So let me put this up there from Paul.
Oh, my God.
When the Cowboys win the Super Bowl, he's going to buy you the collage.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, I don't want it that badly, believe me. Does he know the Cowboys got crushed by the 49ers and lost to Arizona? Come on. Cowboys are not going to the Super Bowl.
And the Eagles. They lost to the Eagles.
They did, and may lose again. Even if the Cowboys win that second game, I'm not worried. They're not going to the Super Bowl. Not happening, Paul. Get out of here. All right, back to our pool and our predictions. Yeah, I'm making a mockery of the little margin of victory pool. I'll tell you about that in a second. But in our regular pick'em pool, you and I both had a rough 2-3 weekend, while Boop went 3-2. So he moved into the top spot at 31-15, 1 game up on me and 4 up on you. So what do we have for week 12? I got to find Boop's picks because they're somewhere.
Well, I was happy to lose that Eagles game, by the way.
Oh, I'm sure you were. Yeah, you picked Kansas City. Yes.
All right, here we go. Week 12. We've added the Thanksgiving night game between Seattle and San Francisco. 49ers are -6.5 in that one, Chet.
All right, let's see what Boop says. I found them on my phone. Boop says, looks like San Francisco is starting to gather some steam, but this could be a trap game with the birds looming. Still, he is picking the 49ers. I am also picking the 49ers.
Me too.
All right,
okay, also Thanksgiving in the 4:30 game. Washington is at Dallas. What about the Commanders getting beat by the Giants? Holy cow.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. I would love to see Washington knock off the stinking Cowboys.
Dallas is -10.5, by the way.
Yeah. Boop says Dallas has allowed 50 points in 4 home games. I guess that's total. They scored 49 themselves the last time they played there. Cowboys here, of course. Yeah, you got to take Dallas, much as it pains me.
Yeah, absolutely. New England visits the Giants on Sunday. How about the Giants getting a win? Patriots -3. They're terrible, too.
Boy, who isn't excited about this game, Bill? Pretty much everybody. That's who. Boop says, since November 20th, 2022, New York is 3-0-1 versus the Commanders and 2-13 against everybody else in regular season games. He's taking the Patriots. I am, too. The Giants are not winning 2 in a row.
No, I'm taking the Patriots too. And what a bad football game that is. All right. Eagles host the Buffalo Bills Sunday, 4:25 at the Link. When I put this together last night, there was no line. So I don't know if a line came up on this game.
I believe it's 3.5. Eagles favored by 3.5. When I looked late last night, it was 3.5.
Okay.
Boop says Buffalo hasn't won 2 in a row since starting 3-1. He's taking the Eagles. I am also taking the Eagles to win and cover, but I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think they'll win by about a touchdown. I think they might have a little bit of a, tough go of it coming off the Monday night game on the road. So I'm taking the Eagles, but it's not going to be a blowout.
Yeah, I'm taking the Eagles too, and I learned my lesson. They're good. They're good. They're a good football team. All right, now let's get to the margin of victory pool.
Really pat myself on the back.
Yeah, we don't really want to hear it.
There have been 11 weeks of the season. I have 220 points. I have not lost one of my survivor type games yet. I'm winning or getting an average 20 points every week. That's a 20-point margin of victory on average this season, including a 20-point win by Jacksonville this past weekend. This is legit, folks. I don't know how I'm doing it. I am not a football expert. My pal Denny would tell you that. My pal Denny, who is even less of a football expert, is leading the pick and pool that I run elsewhere. So go figure. But anyway, there's the standings. I'm crushing you and Boop. Boop has lost 5 times already this year, so you get no points for that. He's got 86 points. You have 81 with your 8-3 record. So this week, let's see. Boop has the Ravens, the Baltimore Ravens. I am taking the Detroit Lions. I don't even know who the hell they're playing, but I know I took the Lions.
They're playing the Packers.
Okay. I like that then. Yeah. I got the Lions. He's got the Ravens.
We're digging down into the middle of nowhere. I'm taking a very average Tennessee Titans team to beat a very bad Carolina Panthers team. So I'm hoping I can at least get a win and get some points out of that. Tennessee is my team.
All right. Briefly, before we talk about next week, Sixers looking good. They've won a couple in a row now, 2 or 3 in a row. Yep. Joel Embiid has not missed a game yet this season, Bill. Can you believe that? Flyers have won 5 in a row. How the hell are they doing that?
They're playing good hockey. I've actually watched them. You know what, Chet? Sunday's football was so bad, I watched a hockey game at 5:30. I really did. There was no good games.
After I got home from Peddler's Village, a nice outing with my wife where I checked out the holiday display that they had just put up. Got home at about 3:30 and watched the Sixers game. I forgot the Flyers were on. I got to be honest. I knew they were, and then I forgot about it, but I'm glad they won. So go Flyers.
Yeah. Playing good. Carter Hart's playing good. The team is playing good and playing with a lot of energy. So we're going with that. Hey, Phillies went all in on Aaron Nola. Got to talk about that 7-year deal. A little longer than I might like at 7, but probably got him at $170 million or whatever. It's probably a good deal for what's going to happen here in these other signings. You happy with it? How you like it?
Yeah, you know what? 7 years, $172 million. Look, all the baseball contracts now for veteran free agents sound ridiculous to the average fan. It is longer than ideal in terms of the contract, but as you implied, if he were to walk, who are they going to replace him with in the rotation and be that effective? It would be either an equally expensive free agent or a less costly, but probably not as effective replacement guy. So, we might not like that it's not a 4 or 5 year deal. It does give them a better chance, I think, to win over the next 3 or 4 years than if they didn't re-sign him. So, hey, why not? It's not our money, Bill.
Well, I mean, I would have liked to go on maybe a couple less years and more money. But you got to replace them, and they have no one to replace them. They could get into a bidding war with somebody to replace them and lose that bidding war, And I'm the kind of guy, Chet, I don't throw out my shoes until I have another pair, So I'm good with it, and he's a solid pitcher. Let's just stick with that. He'll be fine.
Next week, Bill?
Oh, yeah. What about next week?
I'm off. I am taking a week off. So you know what? We're going to be back in our regular Wednesday time slot. It'll be Wednesday the 29th. Yeah, I am not going to be here, but I will have for you an interview that I will have pre-taped. But you are going to have a special co-host, and it's this guy, one of our favorites, our old pal, Freddie Burns. Always fun to have Freddie on the show. So you're going to hang out with him for the hour, and I will have a recorded interview for you guys and our zillions of viewers with this guy making a return visit like 6 weeks after the last time he was on. It is Angelo Cataldi. I don't know what happened to that blurry picture there, but his book Loud officially comes out in the coming days. I'm going to see Angelo in addition to Bob Angelo. How about that? This coming weekend. And I will tape our interview with Angelo Cataldi on Monday. So you will have that, and you're going to hang out with Freddie. It's going to be a great time. Wrap it up, Bill.
It is going to be fun. Looking forward to it. Fred's excited about joining too, so that's always good.
All right.
All right. Let's thank tonight's special guests, Bob Angelo and Jordan Spector. Don't forget, check out their websites and their places and buy their stuff. They got good stuff. I can't wait to see that book, by the way. Our sponsors, the Irish Rover Station House, Cavs Philly Tailgate, PPCC 118 Raz Room, and David Boy of Allstate Insurance in Westchester, PA. For Jim, Chet, Chesko, this is Bill Furman. We hope you enjoyed the show. We'll join Philly Press Box Radio next Wednesday, November 29th at 7 p.m. You can see us live on Facebook and on our Philly Press Box Radio YouTube channel. Listen on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and all the others. High hopes, Philadelphia sports fans.
And happy Thanksgiving.
Happy travels to you till we meet again.